So in my situation, sleep has been the biggest issue for years, and medications were making me sick in so many different ways, and I had undiagnosed things going on, and I couldn't get proper health care. And as a result, I decided to wean off of all the medications I was on to try to medically figure out what's going on with me, why I don't sleep, and why I can't breathe in bed. It came to the point where it was life-threatening, right? And so here we are, 15 years later, still trying to sort things out in the process of weaning off of everything, which can take years for people to do, right? It's a process. It's a long process. In the process of weaning off of everything, I got severely injured, almost killed, weaning off of 2 different medications, and nobody knew how to get me off of them safely or without permanent injury. So I got permanently injured and almost killed, and fought for my life. Weaning off of clonazepam almost killed me, and weaning off of Zopiclone almost killed me. And finally, after decades, got diagnosed with sleep apnea. So I've been on CPAP for 6 years. That's been a hellish nightmare. It's been painful on the sinuses, 6 years of excruciating sinus pain. I've lost upper and lower teeth, upper and lower molars. What is this thing? Interesting thing. A picture frame for free. Somebody wants it. Just excruciating pain, and there's just times where I'm done. I can't wear the CPAP anymore. And everyone assumed that my sleep would be restored when I got CPAP. That never happened at all. CPAP has never helped my sleep. Now, 7 years after 6 years after getting diagnosed with, 6 years after having CPAP, because I've had apnea for decades, it just was undiagnosed. 6 years later, on average now, I'll sleep 4 hours a night. Occasionally 5, but it's broken sleep. Usually I'm sleeping 4 hours a night. And I've always wondered, how will I feel? How would I feel if I actually slept, if I actually got a night's of good sleep? Well, last night I had, and I don't think, this doesn't happen often. This rarely happens. Last night I had 3 hours of sleep, and then I was up for 4 hours, and then I actually had 5 hours of sleep. So in 13 hours, I got 8 hours of sleep. And I'm laying in bed, I'm awake, in my head, I'm thinking, wow, how is this going to be? What kind of a day is this going to be? Am I going to be able to function? What is this day going to be like? And because I've always wondered, what would it look like if I actually got 8 hours of sleep? Well, I got dressed, washed my hair. It's hard to stand. I don't want to use all my energy blow drying my hair and curling my hair, because it takes so much out of me. And so I dragged a stool into the small bathroom and sat, trying to preserve some of my energy. Sat while I did my hair. And I walked to the drugstore to get a prescription for my ear. There's fluid in my ear, and I'm just sick as a dog from this. Can't hear out of my left ear and stuff. I'm standing there waiting in line for about 10 minutes, and I just can't even stand for 5 minutes. It just takes so much out of me. And so this is, it's like there's 500 pounds on top of me. It's the nerve damage. And I could walk all right, but I can't, it's not easy, but sitting or standing is it's all too much work on my body, right? So, I mean, in the end, my worst diseases came from the treatment. Had I not gotten medically injured, had I not gotten severely injured and, major nerve damage, I probably would feel all right today. But it's like, it's like I'm carrying a couch on my shoulders, and it's just drowning me. It's like I'm carrying 500 pounds in my hands right now, and it's just crushing my body. But that was only one night. I don't think you can make nerve damage like this go away. Well, what if I slept every night? I sort of get the feeling it would still be like this. But damn, if this is the end prize. The biggest problem with this is one huge problem, like socially. If I was to go do something with a family member or a friend, hey, let's go do blah, blah, blah. My body is finished before I leave the door. I'm done. I'm exhausted. I could collapse. And you know what? Looking at me, you wouldn't think anything's wrong with me. And people think that nothing's wrong, and people have expectations of you, and if they're your friend, they want you to be, hey, let's do this. They don't want you to be barely coping, I've met people over and over again. What happens when you meet people is they're looking for a new healthy friend to go have fun with and go do things with. They're not looking for a patient. Someone who's really ill. And it's just this constant proving or complaining or explaining in depth of how ill you really are. And people get turned off and they don't want to know that. But it's also ugly. Let's say someone said to me, hey, well, let's go for a nice walk along the river and stuff. You're walking with someone. It's also ugly when people do not want to acknowledge how ill you are, or they want to pretend that you're not sick, or they're minimizing, oh yeah, I had a rough sleep too, when you've had, 3.5 hours of sleep. I don't want to be with anybody who's minimizing, because I've fought for my life here, right? I go to bed. I was watching a movie the other night, and my oxygen goes down to 76. But yet we need to be around people. We need social interaction. We need human connection, right? But all of that connection all seems to be minimizing. Oh yeah, me too. I don't want to hear me too. When I'm sleeping 2 hours every night fighting for my life, and everybody I talk to says, yeah, me too. Me too. So what are you doing for the long weekend? Are you going anywhere? I don't know. And yet, I don't know. There can be a problem with being too hopeful and too, all the videos you watched of mine, you might think, oh, you're so negative, you're so this, you're so that. You know what? A negative, hateful, narcissistic person would have given up 15 years ago. They would have cashed out. They would have checked out. People can't. I'm suffering, but people can't see how hopeful you are and how strong you are to keep fighting when other people would have given up decades ago. The moral of my story is, I fought for healthcare, long-term misdiagnosed. They put me on more and more medications. All the medications were making me sick. No one could recognize the medication side effects. Decades of sleepwalking, decades of sleep eating, years of respiratory depression, lack of drive to breathe. Now we're thinking about possibly adding maybe supplemental oxygen, but that can reduce the drive to breathe, and the lack of drive to breathe is one of my problems. So I don't know what to do anymore. Doctors, well, a lot of doctors are refusing me care just because of what's been done to me. That back asswards mentality of, victim blaming, and most doctors hate my story. And then there are a few that applaud me for figuring this out and getting this far. Unfortunately, those aren't doctors I regularly see. I have no need to see them again. There are doctors who have, literally said, good for you. One doctor said, you have to get away from them because they're going to end up killing you with the drugs. And I said, I know. That was like $1 million comment coming out of that man's mouth. Well-respected, I won't say who it was, but a highly respected doctor. Anyways, I was so looking forward to this day, and I've gone to the store and I'm ready to collapse. Anyways, I've got some phone calls to make, so have a good day.